Hello, my beautiful friends. It is an amazing day. Very glad and grateful that you are here and with us. We've got some business to attend to on the day, but we got to make sure these tubes connect themselves all across the fruited plain of the interwebs. Coming across on Locals, on YouTube, on Rumble, and it's a beautiful day, my friends. Welcome back to another episode of Watching the Watchers Live. It's a beautiful Friday. We made it through another busy week, but we're not done yet. We got a bunch of stuff to attend to today. We're going into court. We had a court hearing with Diddy, and our friend Inner City Press was there reporting on it. So we've got a great X thread, an X script of what was happening inside the courtroom, because Diddy is trying to get out again. Another bail removal request to get out of custody. I think number 3 now. And so we'll go through it. We'll see exactly what happened. The prosecutors were there. There was evidence. There were witnesses. And it was a fun day. So we'll go through it and see what happened inside. We also had some letters that were filed over these last couple days because there was rumors that they got into Diddy's attorney-client privilege materials and a bunch of other things. Now, we'll get to that in our third segment. But first, we've got other business to attend to with Ashley Babbitt and the so-called officer, Lieutenant Michael Byrd. You remember him as this guy who spoke with ABC and NBC News and Lester Holt one time, long time ago after January 6th happened. He's the person who was responsible for what happened there with Ashley Babbitt. And now we know there's a lot more to his story. And we've known that he had a troubling disciplinary record some time ago when apparently he left his firearm in the toilet in the public area of the Capitol building, which you're not supposed to do because you don't want some kid getting it and taking out a congressman or something. And it turns out, well, his background is pretty bad. So the Oversight Committee and Barry Loudermilk out of Georgia dropped this letter, and it's a 7-pager. Normally our letters are like 2 pages or 3 pages, but he's gone through and has done an investigation into Byrd and his background and his disciplinary proceedings, and it is packed with material just about how bad this guy is and why they turned him into a hero after he eliminated Ashley Babbitt. We've also got a bunch of news, and we'll start at the top today talking about Mike Rogers from the FBI, Pam Bondi. We'll see who she is and what she said historically speaking. We got updates from James Trusty, Trump's former lawyer, and a bunch of other things from Matt Gaetz, Bill Clinton, and more, including pencil neck Adam Schiff. And so a bunch of great stuff to get to today, my friends. Thanks for being here. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking this video if you haven't already. Before we jump into the business on the day, you know, we got to talk about being healthy. Obviously, we live in a very advanced era in human history, but a lot of people are unwell. Why is that? Where is this unhealthiness coming from? Well, according to U.S. board-certified physician and expert nutritionist, Dr. Amy Lee, who you just saw on your screen, one of the main reasons, 3 harmful foods that are being passed off to us as health foods that are not health foods at all. In fact, they clog your digestive tract, deplete your energy, wreck your skin, and they're banned in other countries, but they shove them down our gullets here. For some reason, they're still legal. But in this video, Dr. Amy Lee shines the light on what is happening and explains what those 3 harmful foods are that are wreaking havoc on American health. Easy, though, to deal with this. Just got to know what foods they are and stop eating them. And so you can figure out what those are, those 3 fake health foods. Go to 3harmfulfoods.com/RG, the number 3harmfulfoods.com/RG. See what Dr. Amy Lee has to say about all this, and she'll explain it in detail. Much better. Yeah, we don't want any of that. So check it out. Find out all you can. Get rid of these foods. 3harmfulfoods.com/RG. The link is in the description below. All right. So let's be healthy, my friends, and not eat garbage together. All right. Although it's Friday, so if you're going to have pizza, like maybe I am, hopefully it's not pizza. Is pizza one of those foods? You have to find out. Go over there. All right, so my friends, let's get to it because we've got some business on the day. Rumors about Donald Trump appointing a guy named Mike Rogers to the FBI have now been quashed, and that is great news because we went through some of Mike Rogers' prior tweets, and he was on the wrong side of, I think, every single issue that matters, which is not good. You don't want that person in charge of the FBI, and we saw a report earlier today of Caitlin Collins explaining that Mike Rogers might have been put on top and they would have brought in Kash Patel as deputy. You may have seen those headlines. But apparently Dan Scavino says, not happening. Says, just spoke to President Trump regarding Mike Rogers going to the FBI. It's not happening. In his own words, I have never even given it a thought. Not happening. All right, so Caitlin Collins and all the others who are spreading rumors around, who knows where they're getting it from? But that sounds pretty unequivocal. And that's good news because Mike Rogers was on the wrong side in 2017 about Russia collusion nonsense. That was all made up nonsense. He was like, oh, we have to be worried about this. Classified documents case, FBI investigations, always in favor of the FBI. FISA, January 6th, the list goes on and on. Terrible, terrible, terrible. And it made me very nervous because Trump has already made some statements like he's going to build the FBI a big, new, beautiful building, which makes me want to puke my guts up. But Trump knows a lot about navigating Washington now, so he's making his way through with a better set of lenses. So this is good news. Dan Scavino is not coming in. I'm saying that Mike Rogers is not coming in. Great news. Thank you, Dan, for the update and for clarifying that for all of us who are nervous about it. We also see Trump posted that Pam Bondi is going to be coming in, and a lot of people are very excited about her. Even Lindsey Graham's excited about her, which I don't know if that's a good thing. If Lindsey Graham likes anything, I'm kind of looking the other way. But Trump came out, appointed Pam Bondi, says, I am proud to announce former AG of the great state of Florida, Pam Bondi, is our next Attorney General for the United States. She was a prosecutor for nearly 20 years, where she was very tough on violent criminals, made the streets safe for Florida. Then, as Florida's first female AG, she worked to stop the trafficking of deadly drugs and reduce the tragedy of fentanyl, which has destroyed families. She did an incredible job that I asked her to serve in a drug commission in my first term, and we saved many lives. For too long, the partisan DOJ has been weaponized against me and other Republicans. Not anymore. Pam will refocus the DOJ to its intended purpose of fighting crime and making America safe again. I have known Pam for many years. She is smart and tough and is an American first fighter who will do a terrific job as the Attorney General. Now, Pam has been out before. You may have seen her before on the streets of New York. When Trump was being prosecuted, there was a show of force in one of his trials that involved a bunch of people. You can see them in the background here. It looks like Ronnie Jackson's over here. Don Jr. is in the house. Sebastian Gorka is rounding out the side over here. And there's Pam Bondi right there in the middle. And this is what she said in support of the president facing prosecutions in the state of New York.
Prior to being Attorney General of Florida, I was a career prosecutor for 18 years. I prosecuted hundreds of jury trials in a courtroom very similar to the one today. Yet I've never seen anything like this. A judge is supposed to be a neutral arbiter of facts. First of all, this case was declined by many years from the Southern District of New York, by the Department of Justice, by multiple jurisdictions. Yet they bring it on the heels of a presidential election. Prior to being Attorney General.
That's what they do. Okay, so she's been out there on Team Trump for a while, supporting the president, rightfully so. And it's not even really about supporting the president as much as it is about supporting justice, due process, the presumption of innocence, and the problems with weaponized law enforcement agencies like the DOJ and the FBI that prosecute political opponents in America. Shouldn't be happening to Trump, but it shouldn't be happening at all to anybody. And so thankfully she was there making that known. Now, some people point to that and they say, oh, gosh. I don't know if Caitlin Collins or anybody over at CNN has been watching our show. Probably not. But we've been excited as hell to have Todd Blanche, excuse my language, working his way up into the deputy AG, followed by Emil Bove, who's assistant deputy AG. And the new AG, we were hoping it kind of was Matt Gaetz because we know where he lies on many of these issues. And Caitlin Collins is concerned about that. Who are all these people? Who are they going to be acting on behalf of? The president? So what she did is she got James Trusty, a former Trump attorney, to come out and answer some questions about this. And we like James Trusty here. He's always a solid interview and represents the law and the process quite well. And here is what he said to Caitlin.
Donald Trump. Jim Trusty is here. And Jim, what do you make of what Ellie just brought up there? I mean, you obviously represented Trump previously, but you also ran the Justice Department's organized crime section at one point. Do you think having multiple people who previously represented Trump at the top layers of the Justice Department is an issue?
No.
Not particularly. I mean, look, there's a couple of things. The Attorney General position, which I view as a very, very important position for the country, from being around criminal justice for 35 years, from being at the department for 17, I view it as a critically important job where there was great need for independence and competence. But historically, you had a president that picked his brother. More recently, you had a president whose AG said, I'm his wingman.
Eric Holder.
So this idea that they're going to be thoroughly, perfectly independent is always a little bit of a myth. You do want a strong personality, somebody that will stand up for what's right. I'll tell you, my criteria, though, drifts from where you guys are. What I would say is, number one, the president clearly wants somebody who's willing to throw a grenade under the tent. Somebody who's going to blow up the politicized culture. And I'll tell you, I think that's right. I think they need someone who's going to go in and say, let me hear about all the misconduct that was affiliated with the Trump investigation and others to find out if heads should roll. But beyond that, every morning, and Ellie knows this too, every morning, like 7:30, the Attorney General gets a briefing where they're being asked questions about, what do we do on this terrorism case? Do we have enough to pull the trigger? Or what about this counter-espionage? Or what about this senator? And those are really nuanced, difficult questions of procedure and judgment. And I like the thought of someone with some prosecutorial experience. And Bondi may not have had that level, that exact altitude, but I think she's pretty well equipped to do the daily job that's so important and that's frankly much more important than kind of bald notions of political allegiance.
So you do think Pam Bondi is a good choice for this role?
Yes, he just said that.
Look, I think, for me, and maybe it's a function of me being old, I value experience. I like people that have some inside experience. I know you don't want somebody from the swamp to manage the swamp, but I like the fact that she's got serious prosecutorial experience. She's obviously a political figure and a media figure, too. But, 20 years in a large state handling an office with significant cases and being in the trenches trying cases, those are good signs from my perspective.
All right, so endorsed by James Trusty, a lot of people on the right very excited about her coming in. There was a little bit of a letdown also on the right because we kind of wanted that brawler Matt Gaetz in there. But Matt Gaetz is making a different decision. He's going elsewhere. And he's not coming back to Congress. Yesterday, we were gaming out some possibilities there. Remember, the idea being that Matt Gaetz said, I do not intend to take the oath of office in the 119th Congress. But he resigned officially from the 118th and said that maybe he reverses his intention. If he wanted that, does he want to go back to Congress? He got all excited about being the AG. Now he goes back to Congress. Is that really exciting? Not really. So there was some question whether he was going to go back, but he's saying, I'm not going back. I don't even want to go back, so we're not even going to contest it. And remember, Jason Smith from Congress actually yesterday came out and said, yeah, we could have him back if he wanted to, but he's not going back. Matt Gaetz said on Friday he does not plan to rejoin Congress after he withdrew his name. Says, I'm still going to be in the fight, but it's going to be from a new perch. I do not intend to join the 119th Congress, is what Gaetz said in an interview talking to Charlie Kirk. Said there are a number of fantastic Floridians who stepped up to run for my seat, people who have inspired with their heroism, with their public service. I'm actually excited to see Northwest Florida go to new heights and have great representation. Nice statement. Gaetz was first elected when he was 28. Man, that's young. I'm 42 now. I've got other goals in life that I'm eager to pursue. Wife, family. So I'm going to be fighting for Trump. I'm going to be doing whatever he asks of me, as I always have. But I think that 8 years is probably enough time in Congress. That is true, yeah. Gaetz said it seems like a pretty poetic time to allow great new blood to come in. And he says he might go into the Trump administration without getting into details. Said we need a leadership structure under President Trump that's going to allow for durability of our movement and the ability to continue this great realignment of our politics. So I'll play a part in that. I plan to be a big voice, but not as an elected official of government. So then DeSantis came out. The Florida Department of State announced later today that a special election would take place on April 1st, 2025 to fill the Gaetz seat. Gaetz' exit leaves the Republicans down a seat. So does that mean we may not have a full margin with another Republican in there until April? What about those first 2 months? Or first month and a half, rather. NBC News reached out to Gaetz' former House aides for comments. After Gaetz removed his name, there was some question, could he come back in the next term? If he were to rejoin Congress, there was also a question about whether the Ethics Committee would pick back up. The panel had been investigating him. During the probe, there were 2 encounters that allegedly came out. The DOJ had also been investigating him, but didn't pursue any charges. Gaetz' forthcoming nomination was already on shaky ground. Some senators apparently were putting the nix on it. And he joined the House. It was disliked by a bunch of people, including Kev McCarthy as House Speaker last year. So that is Gaetz not coming back to Congress as it stands. And we'll see what's next for him. So meanwhile, we got Bill Clinton out, and he's explaining that Trump's picks are his yes men or something.
He's interested in people who are loyal to him 100% of the time, no matter what the issue, no matter what the facts, no matter who gets hurt. He wants people who just say yes and then get after it.
Well, that's what you want, right? When you're leading something, you don't want a bunch of like, hey, this is where we're going. All right, we're going to this restaurant. Everybody gets in the car and then all the people say, actually, I like to go here. No, I want to go here. No, I want to go over here. No, this is where we're going. Get in or get out.
First. Second, he believes that his supporters have no confidence whatever in the federal government.
We don't.
And Lord knows he's done everything he could to destroy that confidence.
No, he didn't do anything. You guys did it. What did Trump do to destroy the confidence? Called out what the federal government has done. That's all. What is he supposed to just sit there and take it? You guys prosecuted him. You guys locked us down. You guys mandated this and mandated that. You started many wars, told us inflation was fictional and that the border's great and crime's incredible. So you've wrecked your own credibility. You've tried to gag Trump. You've imprisoned J6ers. You raided his house. You tried to throw him off the ballot. Issue after issue. You guys have been terrible. You've wrecked. Trump couldn't have done the damage to the federal government if he tried. He couldn't have done what you guys have done. 10 Trumps couldn't have done it. You guys have collapsed your legitimacy and your credibility, and you're blaming him for it. He's a convenient scapegoat, don't get me wrong. They don't want to admit it, but they did it. It's their own fault. One of the biggest individuals responsible for that is Shifty Adam Schiff, so-called senator now, censored in the House of Representatives, censured rather, which means he's one of the worst congressmen, now senator-elects in American history.
And the other motive here by the president is he wants loyalists that will defend him and go after his adversaries. I'm obviously particularly interested in the Justice Department because I came out of the Justice Department.
And I'm freaking out, man. I'm obviously particularly interested in you because I'm freaking out. I can't sleep at night.
And, you know, we dodged a bullet certainly with Matt Gaetz, but nevertheless, he is chosen for the very top positions now, including the nominee of Bondi, people that are basically his personal attorneys, his criminal attorneys, his impeachment attorney. She did,
by the way. Pam Bondi worked on the first impeachment. I forgot to mention that.
He views the Justice Department not as a department representing the American people or the public interest, but as a department representing Donald Trump, his criminal liability, his civil liability, to be his shield.
Once again, reversing everything that they've done. It's called projection, Adam Shifty. You guys did this. You prosecuted Bannon, Navarro, 1,500 J6ers. You raided Trump's residence. You tried to throw him off the ballot. Now you're going to say he's going to pervert the DOJ into his own little goon squad? You guys have already done that. These people are coming in to correct the record. You're responsible for criminality in America, and repercussions are coming.
And also to be his sword and go after his enemies. And as well, Pam Bondi was one of the election deniers out there very early on.
The election was rigged by people like you. You did it in 16 too.
Fake ballots. So if she is going to be the Attorney General, what does that mean in terms of how Donald Trump and the Justice Department treat all of those people convicted of assaulting police officers on January 6th. Is she going to continue as Attorney General pushing out the big lie? These are questions that she's going to have to answer during her confirmation hearings. But
the big lie is that Trump was
at
all responsible for January 6th. You guys rejected his attempts to protect a jurisdiction that isn't even his, it's Congress's. And you guys said that he was going to try to steal the Capitol by securing the Capitol. Then when you rejected his offer to secure the Capitol, you blamed him for trying to take over the Capitol. So, Shifty, you're lying.
Have been loyal to him, those that have been willing to essentially present his false defenses and his fake claims have been now elevated to the top ranks, or if he has his way, will be elevated to the top ranks of our justice system.
Well, we're excited about it. So Shifty seems a little bit nervous. He's got this facade of a calm about him, but under his skin, he's crawling. Now, here's another update. As we reported earlier this week, Trump's campaign was declaring victory in the New York case because Alvin Bragg agreed in a motion that the sentencing date could be vacated. And we declared victory along with the Trump campaign because what we saw, it wasn't written there explicitly, was that there was no opposition to a vacating of the sentencing date. It was going to go away because Bragg was okay with that. Judge Merchan wants to do that. Trump obviously wants it too. Now it is official. The order has dropped and it came out from the judge in writing. Very short filing, but the sentencing is now officially stayed. On November 19th, they said, this is Judge Merchan writing this, acting justice, acting is right. On November 19th, the court received separate submissions from Trump's president-elect defendant. President-elect defendant. You improper, inconsiderate, ill-mannered judge, and the district attorney of New York County, see, he gives him a proper title, seeking various forms of relief in connection with the above captioned matter. The respective applications are decided as follows. It is hereby ordered, says the judge, that president-elect defendant's request for leave to file a motion to dismiss is granted. It is further ordered, so Trump wins, he's going to file his motion to dismiss, which is going to have to cause the sentencing date to go bye-bye and be reset for another date. Ordered that the joint request for a motion schedule is granted. Why do you need additional motion schedules if you're just going to sentence him and he's going to go to prison? You don't. Defendant's motion is due by the close of business Monday, December 2nd. Oh. He just keeps kicking it down the road, as we said. Okay, they're not going to come out and just say, sorry, Trump goes free. They're going to take their sweet time. They're going to make it hurt, drag it out. The people's response is due by December 9th. The court will not accept reply briefs, and it's further ordered that the application to stay the decision on their other motion is granted pending receipt of papers from all parties, and it is further ordered that the joint application for a stay of the sentencing is granted to the extent that the November 26th date is adjourned. Oh, that must have sucked for Juan Merchan to write that one. Ugh. The above constitutes the decision and order of the court. They were so close. They were going to have him sentenced in like 4 days, man. But not anymore. Oh, man, that stinks for them, doesn't it? It's good for America, good for justice, good for law and order, but not for them. Because they put all their eggs in this basket and they wanted him sentenced. So Andrew Weissman, George Conway, Mark Elias, all of them, a million liberals screaming into the sun. Sentencing was going to happen. And even when we covered this earlier in this week, there were some comments here and there on X. It's not official yet, okay? Sentencing is still on the date. No, it wasn't. They're going to move it. They're going to vacate it. They have to. And they've done it. They did not want it. There was still a bunch of cope earlier this week. Well, it doesn't mean it. Maybe he's going to come back and we're going to have a sentence. Nope. Not happening. And you know where this is going to go from here? they're not going to re-put a sentencing on here. They're going to come back. We're going to have other deadlines. Then we'll have a judge's decision sometime in December. Maybe he'll want an evidentiary hearing or something. But the case will be dismissed later on. They're not going to want to sentence him. If the judge wants to come out and do a stay, well, then they're going to appeal everything. I think he's going to dump this case because they goofed it. He just has to find a way to save face. But this was one of the more painful days for Juan Merchan, the judge out of New York, who in our opinion rigged this case beyond any recognition, allowed Stormy Daniels to get in there and talk about a bunch of insane stuff in front of the jury about stuff completely unrelated to this case at all. This was a spreadsheet crime with Michael Cohen. She's talking about Trump attacking her and R-ing her and like almost, I couldn't leave. I want her attack. Insane. She's a liar. Cohen's a liar, in my opinion, to both of them. And he just let it go. It's a total free-for-all. Now, his decision is going to be stayed as to sentencing, and we'll see what comes next. Thank you for subscribing, my friends. We're looking forward to this case and more developments on that one. All right, so with that update on Bondi and New York and Matt Gaetz, let's turn our attention to this police officer. You remember this guy, Lieutenant Michael Byrd, January 6th cop who was paraded all over the place, including in this interview with Lester Holt. He was deemed to be a hero because he's the person who took out Ashley B. And Ashley B, of course, was the woman inside the Capitol who we saw that was pulling herself through the window, and he was on the other end with his firearm. Now, some time ago, this is what he sounded like. Now, we'll just play a quick clip to refresh our recollection of who he is. But the big story is this report that came out from Barry Loudermilk, subcommittee on the Oversight Committee, fresh out of the oven, November 20th. And it goes to the Capitol Hill Chief of Police, Chief Thomas J. Thomas Manger, the guy who came in and replaced Capitol Hill Chief of Police Stephen Sund, who was asked or forced to resign by Nancy Pelosi the day of January 6th. And Stephen Sund wrote a great book about this that exposes a huge swath of, he might say, incompetence, I would say intentionality, that caused January 6th to be what it was. Should have never gotten to what it was if there were people who did their jobs, but they allowed it to happen, just like they allowed Trump to get shot in the head. So on November 20th, he sent this out. We'll come back to this because it's a doozy, and he explains this guy's got firearms problems. He left his gun in a toilet location. He failed certifications and was placed on leave and disciplinary, verbal altercations, 30 days without pay, all sorts of stuff. And now they turn him into a hero. So he's the person who eliminated Ashley B. And there were no repercussions for that at all. In fact, he was lauded as a hero. Here's what he sounded like when he sat down with Lester Holt. This was several years ago.
Utmost courage on January 6th, and it's time for me to do that now.
Responsible that day for securing the House chambers, Byrd couldn't see what Americans.
So let's just make sure we can hear him speak.
And down.
Did you ever hear a call or a report of shots fired during any of this?
As a matter of fact, I did. There was reports of shots fired through the House main door onto the floor of the chamber.
Later, those.
All right, so I can't stand how they do these interviews. They just clip around. And Lester Holt wants to hear himself talking.
A considerable amount of time. Were you wavering?
I was taking a tactical stance. You're ultimately hoping that your commands will be complied with, and unfortunately, they were not.
Did you give any commands to her before you shot?
When you fired, what could you see? Where were you aiming?
You're taught to aim for center mass. The subject was sideways, and I could not see her full motion of her hands or anything. So I guess her movement, caused the discharge to fall where it did.
And what
Her movement caused the discharge to fall where it did. It's very passive language.
did you think this individual was doing at that moment?
She was posing a threat to United States House of Representatives.
Okay, and I think that they may have been gone by that point as well. So we'll come back on that if it's referenced here. But this is the report now that has come out from the Subcommittee on Oversight. They sent this to the chief of police, and they want a bunch of information about this dude and their record. You can see a whole list of questions on who this guy is, why was he on leave, who instructed him to do this, that, and the other, and there's a bunch inside. So here's the report. They say, all right, dear Capitol Hill Chief of Police Menger, says, I write to you today, it's chairman from Congress, to better understand the promotion process that you gave to this guy, because they did promote him after the fact. Says, I've got jurisdiction over safety and security of the Capitol, and I'm investigating this now. Subcommittee is responsible for ensuring we have the resources that we need. We didn't obviously have those on J6 for whatever reason. Yeah. As a legislative branch entity, they say the subcommittee has direct oversight, more direct oversight with U.S. Capitol Police than with executive branch law enforcement entities. So we should be asking these questions, and we are. Nonetheless, Congress should not play a direct role in the operations and the security decisions at the Capitol. However, it is appropriate for our committee to review your decisions, and we have recently become aware that the Capitol Police recently promoted Michael Byrd from lieutenant to captain. If you take out a certain number of MAGA people, they bump you up. I have concerns about this decision given Byrd's lengthy disciplinary history and the apparent political influence of internal operational decisions related to Byrd after J6. While I recognize that many of the concerning incidents related to now Captain Byrd occurred before you became the chief, Captain Byrd did receive significant favorable treatment by the Capitol Police after you became chief in 2021, after they forced Stephen Sund out. The subcommittee has learned that Captain Byrd was referred to OPR, the principal's office, Office of Professional Responsibility, in 2004 for an incident in Maryland where he discharged his service weapon at a fleeing vehicle. All right, so 2004, it's like the Bush era, remember? This guy's popping off at a vehicle. Pop, 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 pop. On April 5th, 2004, Byrd and his wife were awoken at their home by a loud banging noise coming from outside their residence. According to Byrd, he observed two vans parked outside his neighbor's house. Byrd then retrieved his U.S. Capitol Police credentials and service weapon, went outside to investigate. Okay, you see where this is going. He's like hero cop. According to Byrd, the first van accelerated toward him in an apparent attempt to hit him. Byrd claimed he shouted, "Stop!" and fired 2 rounds at the oncoming vehicle. According to the OPR investigation, Byrd's neighbor, who was also present, said he was in the line of fire when he's like popping off at the neighbor. He's like, what the heck? Byrd claimed that after firing at the oncoming vehicle, he jumped out of the way. And the second vehicle, he's like, mission impossible. Then drove towards Byrd. The second vehicle then tried to kill him too. According to Byrd, he then fired a single round into the driver's windshield and jumped out of the way. He's like Jason Bourne. Now, after this encounter, the police found both vans. These were like painters or something, right? Plumbers. There's a leak, man. Let's see. And conducted a search of the vehicles. Now, according to Prince George County Police, there were no bullet holes in either of the van's windshield. Police did, however, find a bullet hole near the gas cap of the second van. Police determined that the bullet entered the van from a rear angle, indicating the van was shot at from behind. It wasn't running to try to hit him. It was fleeing away. One of the investigating officers observed that based on where the bullet was found, where's the threat? Because it was on the driver's side rear quarter panel. I hope it was plumbers. OPR noted that based on the location of the shell casings and the angle that Sergeant Byrd alleged he discharged his service weapon, his testimony that he fired at the vans as they attempted to hit him is inaccurate. So he lied to the cops. OPR concluded that the evidence suggests that Byrd discharged his service weapon at the vans after they passed him by. Now, despite this, the Capitol Police noted the investigation found insufficient evidence to determine that he violated their truthfulness policy. because it's in the heat of the moment, like they always say. Hey, he didn't know. Now, at the conclusion of the investigation, the principal's office, OPR, determined that Byrd violated the Capitol Hill Police use of force policy or use of weapons policy by discharging his weapon in a careless and imprudent manner. You're kidding! Just like he did at the Capitol on that day when he shot and eliminated Ashley B. Specifically, OPR concluded that Byrd improperly discharged his service weapon while his neighbor was in the line of fire and after both stolen vehicles had passed him by. OPR also noted that the Maryland state prosecutor assigned to the incident determined that Byrd used bad judgment in his actions responding to the carjacking. If he was not a cop, he would have been charged instantly with something. Misconduct involving weapons, reckless endangerment. Additionally, following OPR's review, it wasn't on his property. It wasn't his van. It was somebody's neighbor. He just ran because he's a cop. But if this was you, that's completely negligent, right? And he's not on duty or anything like that. Now, anyways, Inspector Yancey Garner sent a memo to Chief Terrence Gaynor concurring with OPR findings, despite both OPR and Inspector Garner concluding that Byrd violated U.S. Capitol Police policy, so he broke their policy. An appeal to the Disciplinary Board subsequently overturned their findings and ruled that he didn't violate the policy because they investigate themselves, they find they did nothing wrong. As a result, this incident is reflected as not sustained on his record, but it's there. Now in 2015, so that was in 2004, 10 years go by, 2015, then Lieutenant Byrd was referred to OPR for another incident. There was a verbal altercation at a high school football game. Montgomery County Police Department assigned at least 2 officers to provide security to prevent spectators from walking onto the field and to ensure visitors remained in the stands. Now, shortly after the start of the game, Byrd approached one of the officers at this football game and asked, "Is there another officer stationed on the other side of the field stopping spectators from walking onto the field? Is there somebody over there?" After the officer informed Byrd of his responsibility to keep people off the track, he says, "Yeah, there is. No, you guys can't be on the track." Byrd reportedly became argumentative with the officer, began yelling profanities at the officer, calling him a piece of crap, calling him an a-hole and a racist. Always. It's always that, yeah. You can't go on the track. Oh, why? Why? Because you're racist? No, it's so that you don't get run over by a football player. Byrd then accused the officer of targeting the black side of the field and then jumped the fence, came onto the track, and confronted the officer. Around this time, another Maryland police officer heard Byrd yelling at his partner, and Byrd's a cop, approached Byrd, attempted to de-escalate the situation. This guy insurrected and breached the perimeter. He jumped the fence. Guess what happened when he jumped the fence? Came onto the track. No one shot him. No one shot him and took him out. They had a conversation with him and de-escalated the situation. See how that went? Even after attempting to separate from the officer, Byrd continued to scream obscenities after he broke through the barriers, jumped over the fence, and insurrected the football field. No one shot him. After Byrd calmed down, he spoke with, sometimes people get riled up. Sometimes people get hot and heavy. Doesn't mean you shoot them. He spoke to the MCPD officer's partner, identified himself as a lieutenant with the Capitol Police, gave the officer his business card. Now, based on the statements received from Byrd and the 2 officers on scene, OPR determined that Byrd called one of the officers a racist a-hole and repeatedly used vulgar and abusive language. OPR found that Byrd's charge of conduct unbecoming was sustained, and he was suspended for 7 days without pay. So it's okay if he breaks through a perimeter that's meant to keep him out. He can come screaming at people. Racist piece of S, you're an a-hole, and probably a lot worse. 7 days without pay, but he wasn't shot and killed, so that's good. In 2019, then Lieutenant Byrd was also referred to the OPR again for leaving his loaded service weapon in a bathroom of the Capitol Visitor Center. So he's got to go take a giant and drops his gun off there. So the next little kid who's like, I can't believe I'm in Washington, D.C. He goes there, uses the bathroom, and gets his firearm. Now, at the time, then Lieutenant Byrd was the commander of the House Chamber section of the Capitol Police. He was responsible for ensuring the House Chamber was adequately patrolled. And that little kid example is a joke. What if it's somebody who wants to shoot a congressperson? Then that's a real problem. Then Lieutenant Byrd's weapon was left unattended in a public restroom for 55 minutes before some other cop discovered it. After OPR's finding that sustained the charge for violating, compliance with directives, Byrd was suspended for 33 days without pay. That's a serious one. You don't just leave your gun in the congressional bathroom. Should be a secure building. But Capitol Police records indicate that 3 additional OPR referrals against Byrd happened. 3 additional. Those are 3 we know. However, those records related to these investigations are reportedly missing. What happened to those? Now, this is disappointing as the inability to locate these documents hinders the subcommittee from fulfilling its responsibility to conduct a comprehensive oversight over you people. And so in addition to your decision to promote Byrd despite his disciplinary history, and I think what they're doing is they've got somebody who is extremely malleable, right? This guy's like on the verge of losing everything. So he'll do whatever they want and they'll just keep him happy. And he'll be their fake cop who's essentially a placeholder for this story. Now, for example, they say, I've also concerns about decisions that they made after J6. For example, after J6, the Capitol Police provided Byrd with $36,000 bonus. Unrestricted after January 6th, they paid him off $36,000 as part of a retention agreement. Now, it's unclear if Byrd ever signed that agreement. The Capitol Police offered all other officers a significantly smaller retention bonus. A bulletin that was obtained by the subcommittee said that Byrd got $36,000 for shooting and eliminating a person, and other officers got $3,000. So you get paid if you take them out. It's kind of like a bounty, kind of. You got to actually take them out, though. In June 2022, almost a year after Byrd got his retention bonus, they gave him another $8,000. Great job. Like to keep you on here. You're doing a great job. Nobody else has been able to shoot any MAGA people, so you're like an icon. It's unclear whether Byrd also received these bonuses. Oh, that was for other officers, an additional $8,000. So I'm sure he got that. I mean, if they got that, I'm sure he got another $8,000. Capitol Police also plan to use the Memorial Fund to pay for Byrd's expenses, including lost overtime, because missing work. The Memorial Fund is a fund used for officers injured or killed in the line of duty. He was not. According to internal U.S. Capitol Police documents, they planned to submit Byrd's Memorial Fund proposal ahead of other 90 injured officers. Why? Additionally, the Capitol Police helped Byrd set up a GoFundMe, and he also got $164,000 from that too. Now, they ultimately decided not to formally propose a payment to Byrd from the Memorial Fund because the GoFundMe got more than the fund would have given him. They also spent $21,000 on security upgrades on his home. They provided Byrd with 6 months of housing at local hotels and the Distinguished Visitors Quarters at Joint Base Andrews. Man, he's like royalty. During this time, Byrd also had dignitary protection detail when he left the secure base. On at least one occasion, his detail escorted him to a cigar lounge where he stayed out until 1:30 a.m., which necessitated extended coverage for his detail. While he's puffing cigars, reliving his glory days of shooting an unarmed woman. Additionally, Capitol Police instructed Byrd not to sit for a fitness for duty evaluation after J6. They were concerned that he may fail the fitness for duty evaluation, and that if he failed, he wouldn't be permitted to carry a service weapon because he can't shoot. However, even though the Capitol Police was concerned Byrd may fail, they thought it was more important for him to have his weapon for personal protection. Now, in September of 21, Byrd attempted to personally purchase a shotgun, but he failed to pass the background check that's required by federal law. What? He subsequently sought U.S. Capitol Police's help in resolving the issue with his background check. After learning that Byrd failed his background check, the Capitol Police took steps to provide him with a Capitol Police shotgun. Oh, wait, you can't go buy your own? Why not? Here, take mine. Intended to lend him a shotgun, even if his background check did not come through. Ultimately, Byrd failed his shotgun proficiency and was not provided a U.S. Capitol Police issued shotgun. Oh, now shortly after January 6, they placed him on administrative leave and ultimately removed him from leave at the end of June. Same year, he signed a telework agreement in July 21, which allowed him to telework 5 days a week, but he did not come back to work. So he got paid to Zoom into meetings. Despite this, Byrd was not disciplined. Instead, they retroactively provided Byrd with leave for the days he refused to work in July, and then they encouraged officers to donate their annual leave to Byrd in an internal bulletin. Byrd did not return to work until December 21, months after he signed the telework agreement, and nearly a year after J6, but he was never referred or disciplined for not showing up to work. And so based on the information, it appears that you guys treated Byrd more favorably than other officers. However, it's unclear why you did those things. We know. Because he shot and killed a person, which was his job. This subcommittee is dedicated to ensuring that the Capitol Police has autonomy from political pressures so it can make operational and personnel decisions that are in the best interest of us. And so we've got the following questions for you people. What is the process for promoting somebody to a captain? Is there a written policy? We want to see it. What consideration is given to OPR findings when somebody is considered for captain? Are previous captain exam scores considered? Who made the decision to promote Byrd? How many candidates for captain were there when you decided to promote Byrd? Was there anybody else? Where was Byrd ranked with respect to the other candidates? What was the date of the captain's exam? Did he take it? How many candidates were promoted to captain at the same time? What were their scores relative to his? Had Byrd previously been considered for promotion before? If so, did he take the exam? How did he do? We also want a list of all the administrative manuals and operating procedures and everything that you have, including your rules of conduct, list of charges, and your table of penalties. When you assess penalties for things, how do you do that? Do you have mitigating and aggravating factors? Do you take anything else into consideration? And what's your retention policy while we're here? What's your retention policy for these OPR records? Is it written down? We'd like a copy because you deleted other OPR records, which is troubling. And does the Capitol Police have standard operating procedure for initiating OPR investigations? And is there a standard time after an officer-involved shooting for a person to be placed on leave? We'd like to see that. Does the U.S. Capitol Police have a policy as to when the officers are required to do their fitness exams? How often do they have to do it? Is it mandatory? Did you guys assist Byrd in creating his GoFundMe account? Did he talk to members of Congress about the benefits that he received from anybody in the House or the Senate? Now, after January 6th, when was Byrd on leave? When was Byrd taken off leave? How many days did he use his leave retroactively? Why did you guys give him retroactive leave? Have you done that for other officers? When did you tell him to come back to work? When did he come back to work? Did he sign an agreement? How many days did he telework? Man, this is extensive. They want everything. And did you seek or get approval from committees before you increased his security cost? Where's your authority to give these security benefits to Byrd? Now, we want you to preserve all this information as well. Captain Michael Byrd's cell phone, email, computer, electronic device from these dates, January 1 to January 1, 24. Copies of all documents prepared by you guys on behalf of him, all dates, emails, members, dates of transmission, digital records, and more. And I sincerely appreciate your attention to this matter and request you respond in writing by December 4th. Incredible. Shout out to Barry Loudermilk, man, for assembling that monster letter to the Capitol Hill Chief of Police. It's going to them. They should be able to answer all of these questions since they were insurrected so aggressively. Why is their officer, the guy who shot and eliminated a woman, being promoted to captain when he's got a history of reckless endangerment with firearms, shooting at vans driving by him, leaving his gun in the toilet, and insurrecting football games, jumping through fences, attacking other officers who had the common decency to not shoot him? I hope there's answers to this. I'm glad that Congress is digging into it. Shout out to Barry Loudermilk from Georgia and the Subcommittee on Oversight. We hope that this pressure continues into the next Congress and that the Senate inquires as well as President Trump's new administration unseals and releases these records for everybody to see, because this is part of something deeper. This is a cover-up. They're buying his silence and protecting him and promoting him out of the media's eyes, out of the American people's eyes. We're not going to let up on it so quickly. Thanks for subscribing. We'll be back here on this one. All right. And so, my friends, we got one final update on the day, and you know what time it is. It's Diddy time. Not that kind of Diddy time. Talking about the court case, because there's some interesting things happening today. Diddy wants out. He has tried multiple times. We're back in court for another hearing. We'll see what the judge does as Diddy is filing a renewed bail application. He's done this before. He's put up basically everything. He's like, I'll give you everything. The judge still said no. And it's curious because the charges are interesting, right? The charges don't necessarily match all of the allegations that they're claiming occurred. They're bundling this up into a giant RICO conspiracy. But we're going to see what the government says, because there's been other indications that they've been breaking into Diddy's jail cell and taking his attorney-client privilege materials. And so the defense team has been ordered to talk about that today. We've got filings from both sides, the prosecutors and Diddy's defense, and then we're going to an X-script thread that's going to detail for us what happened today inside the courtroom, courtesy of our friend Matthew Russell Lee writing for us. And here is the detail on what has been coming into court. So this is the docket. You can see a bunch of activity over the 21st and the 22nd, letter motions, orders, all sorts of things. Here is some of the more recent updates. Diddy's team, the defense team, sent this in to the judge. We're in the Southern District of New York, very busy jurisdiction. They say, Your Honor, guess what? In support of Mr. Combs's renewed bail application, saying, please let me out for the third time, we have submitted to the court and to the government a 20-minute video under seal. What is that? Pursuant to the protective order. The video was prepared by Connor McCourt. Mr. McCourt was previously a foot patrol officer with the New York Police Department in January of 1993, and he was promoted after September 11th and was assigned to the TERU unit, the Technical Assistance Response Unit, where he supported detectives and investigators in the field for high-level crimes. Now, inside that organization, this guy, so smart, he helped develop the forensic video subgroup, which was focused on recovering video from crime scenes where there were homicides and other bad crimes. Now, while he was there, he performed thousands of forensic video analyses and would process that video for detectives all over the place. He completed his career in 2009, and then he started a video analysis consultancy called McCourt Video Analysis. And are you kidding me? This guy's name is McCourt. Connor McCourt. And he provides computer analysis consulting services for courtrooms? While at Tiru, that'd be like if I was like Robert McLivestreamer or something. While at Tiru, Mr. McCourt performed thousands of forensic video analyses and would process the video for detectives all over the place. Now, after retirement, he's doing this now. So he's available to testify at the Friday hearing if you'd allow him to come in. What's he going to talk about? We would need sufficient advance notice for him to bring in electronic equipment. Hopefully it's not video of a Diddy party. We anticipate his testimony, if the court wants to hear it, would be less than 40 minutes. So let us know if you want to hear from him. Diddy's defense team. Now, prosecutors have responded to a lot of this. They say, all right, Your Honor, the government is responding. We do not think you should let Diddy out at all. On October 17th, we know that a grand jury in another case called the Jeffries case is very different than Diddy's case. Yeah, they said they would release him on $10 million bonds and all those things, and so that's fine. They can bring that up. Jeffries paid for dozens of men. Okay, this is in this case. They're saying, look, this Jeffries case is way worse than anything Diddy did. He brought dozens of men to travel in the United States to meet Jeffries and his co-defendants. In addition, him and his co-defendants relied on a security company and all the things. So if this guy is bringing in dozens of men to travel within the United States and internationally, I think the allegations with Diddy are just domestically, adults, and it wasn't even, the travel was not even for intercourse. The travel was for modeling, right? So they had a whole system. Now, the defense argues in its renewed bail motion that we're similarly situated. Okay, that guy did a bunch of things worse than I did, and you guys let him out. They say, no, these cases are different. First, the nature and the circumstances are different. Now, while the Jeffries case went from 2008 to 15 and alleges the use of force, fraud, and coercion to make these men engage in non-consensual, there are no allegations that Jeffries committed non-trafficking related violent acts or used firearms. Are you kidding me? They're going to say, yeah, but Diddy used a gun and he hit someone. The indictment against Combs alleges both. Yeah, but it only alleges, I think, 1 or 2 victims, not dozens, and not international, and modeling. Now, with respect to the charged offenses, Jeffries does not include a racketeering offense, right? And which makes Diddy's case more sympathetic because it's a RICO case, which is a joke, which they've done that in order to bypass the statute of limitations for the old assault charges in the hotel room. By contrast, Combs is charged with leading a racketeering enterprise that is engaged in a persistent pattern of racketeering from 08 to 24, including acts of violence, kidnapping, arson, and forced labor. You didn't charge him for those specifically, though. They're all these overt acts under the RICO claim. And they have to do that in order to make these charges stick. Okay, there are no charges if they don't do it this way. Because kidnapping, it's too old. Arson's too old. Forced labor, my understanding is they're all too old. There were, the hotel assault, what was that, 16? So we'd have to double check the statute of limitations on all the allegations, but we don't even know what they are. Or when they were. Like, when was the kidnapping specifically? Who did it involve? How long ago was it? I don't know. Further, as detailed in the indictment, Combs protected and promoted his role using firearms and threats of abuse and so on. Now, second, his criminal conduct also included acts of obstruction. Now, that is a little different. Has persisted through the present. Now, while Jeffries also did it, okay, so it's the same. So they let Jeffries out, including the use of surveillance and threats. That conduct ended in 2015. However, here, Combs and his misconduct has been extended through 2024. And even since being charged, Combs is continuing to obstruct. And so he's worse than Jeffries. And third, the history and characteristics of the two defendants are different. Okay, Jeffries is an 80-year-old man with no criminal history. Combs is decade younger. It doesn't matter. What does that matter? 80-year-old dudes have Viagra. They can still get after it, right? Further, he has been arrested and investigated multiple times for crimes of violence and obstruction. Has he been charged or convicted? As described above, has repeatedly violated the new BOP regulations and the very same gag order he demanded that this court enter. And so it's very different. Not really. It's not really that different. That dude was openly transporting dozens of men for the purpose of trafficking. There's one, maybe two victims that are alleged in the indictment. We've looked at it here at length. And RICO is a stretch to make it so that they can talk about all of these other things. Apparently, they both have no criminal history. The fact that one's 80, what does that mean? He hits not as hard or something? Or he can't perform as well? So what? It's the same conduct. Who cares if it's a younger guy or an older guy? Anyways, that's from Damian Williams. Give him a big SDNY welcome here. The SDNY. Yeah, get your pom-poms out here. That was that crew. So this is what Diddy's team sent back today, right before the hearing started. All right, Your Honor, we submit this letter in further support. We're coming in for the hearing today. This is a letter the government sent to us at 11:32 p.m. yesterday evening. Government prosecutors squeezing this one in. This letter was sent to us in response to targeted Brady requests. The proffer cited in the government's letter further supports Mr. Combs' position as to the weight of the evidence, which is crap, and the nature and the seriousness of the offense, which is minor. As just one example, in attempting to rebut the defense's proffer during the initial bail hearing, the government said the following. So at the first time they tried to get Diddy out, they said, Your Honor, yesterday, these are prosecutors speaking, yesterday the defense said they interviewed about half a dozen escorts who would dispute the government's accounts of what happened during the freak-offs. Our investigation is ongoing, and so I can't say too much about this, but I will note that half a dozen escorts is just the tip of the iceberg of the number of escorts who have participated in freak-offs. Oh, gosh. Now, as the government's Brady disclosure makes clear, however, okay, so this is a prosecutor. Saying that. But as the government then responded, however, redacted, 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 redacted. Don't know what that is. Now, additionally, this letter provides even more new information that warrants reopening bail proceedings, Your Honor. Defense counsel will address these points at the bail hearing today. Although we do not believe there is any basis to seal the government's letter, we have not had an opportunity to confer with them on this, and so we'll file it under seal out of an abundance of caution. All right, so that is some of the more recent filings. Now let's turn our attention to the courtroom. Courtesy of Inner City Press reporting, we're here for the third bail hearing of Diddy. Inside the courtroom, we've got Diddy's attorney, Tony Rico. Diddy supporters are in the courtroom. Alexandra Shapiro sitting there from a binder reading. 4 prosecutors on the other side waiting for the judge to enter. Sean Combs is brought in wearing a jail uniform in tan. He hugs his attorney, Agnafilo, sitting there chatting with Rico. Now we're waiting for Judge Subramanian to come in. We note that Combs and his lawyers are sitting at the table. 2 U.S. Marshals are on the sides. We're waiting. Where is the judge? Poof! Door opens. All rise. Stand up. Put your phone away. All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Appearances, please, Your Honor, so-and-so on behalf of Mr. Diddy. And, good morning, Your Honor, so-and-so on behalf of U.S. Attorney's Office. Combs' defense attorney, or where we begin, Your Honor? Well, Your Honor, I'd just like to point out for the record that the family of Mr. Sean Love Combs are here in the courtroom. They traveled a long way to be here today, and I'd just like to recognize them for the court's attention. The judge says, thank you for being here. All right, Mr. Agnifilo, tell me about the legal pads that we had, because apparently an investigator went into Diddy's cell and took some legal pads. The defense is raising a ruckus about this. Your Honor, yeah, the first time I saw those legal pads was on Tuesday. Now, as we sit here today, I'm not sure when legal was written on those documents. I'm trying to get to the bottom of it, talking to my client. Different members of the defense team was telling Diddy to write legal on the pads so that people would know that he's writing notes on these legal pads, and they're legal, meaning you can't take those. Those are attorney-client privilege. There's a photo of a pad without legal on it. And so it's clear that on November 1st, Your Honor, when they did the sweep, they did not all say legal on the pads. So they may have gotten some pads that did not say legal and some others did. The judge says, okay, well, the pad that you handed up to me, did it say legal on it on November 1st? The one that you gave to me, you just showed me? Well, I'm not sure, Your Honor. Well, moving forward, make sure your representations are true. Don't hand me something and say that this is what it looked like on that date. If I asked you that, you better be sure about that. Yes, Your Honor, my apologies. All right, your prosecutor, Ms. Slavic, says the judge. What's the status of Mr. Combs' laptop? Government prosecutor, Christine Slavic. Your Honor, the laptop for him to review the discovery at the MDC? Well, the idea is to preload the information he's allowed to have at the MDC on the laptop, since there's a protective order and everything, so we're working on it. All right, on the bail application, I don't have to deal with the Bostani case, okay? The defense is saying there are extensive conditions proposed, and so we got 24/7 security, we've got tons of money, passports, family's going to give up their passports. All this stuff is going to be put up. So, but we're not going to consider Bostani. What do you think about the Fox case, government? Well, there was no RICO charge in that case. I agree. Yeah, there was no there. But I want you to address the proposed conditions. There was a bunch of conditions in that case, and he's making the same argument. Well, Your Honor, there has to be some level of trust that the defendant will actually follow them. I mean, here, he's not. Diddy can't be trusted. Consider what he's done. He's already been in custody. The two other judges have made findings here that he should stay in custody. And now his attorneys are enabling his flouting of the prison rules, Your Honor. I mean, think about what they're doing with these labeling of their pads. He's just going to label every pad legal. He's going to label every document legal, and we can't go see anything that he's doing after the fact. He's going to write legal after the words and then tell you that they stole it. Even family members can't. The judge cuts her off. Well, what's your response if Mr. Combs says, even if they don't trust me, you don't have to trust me. There's 24/7 security there, okay? Because he's not leaving anywhere. You're hiring a third party to keep him in custody. Well, Your Honor, he's in custody right now, okay? If he can't comply with our requirements in jail, how is he going to comply if he's released? And what type of security firm is this? Okay, they suggested a co-conspirator, one whose phone was taken only the day before. So they want to hire their best friends to be his security team. We're not going to allow that. The 2D suggestion, the second suggestion, was a defense investigator in this case is going to look over him. Now, that investigator has been out contacting witnesses. So essentially, they work for him. That would be the defendant buying his way out here. The judge says, well, you've already conceded that Bustani's bar does not apply here. It must be some sort of a wealth thing. You've cited his wealth to release him, so can't he use it? I mean, he's got money. Why can't he use his money? Well, we're not seeking his continued detention based on his wealth. That's not the issue. But rather the danger, the risk of flight and obstruction. We're worried that he's got too much money, so it's about flight. We're not keeping him because he's rich. Well, is obstruction your main argument? You're saying he's obstructing you? Actually, dangers to others is our major argument. Okay, so not risk of flight then. So it's danger to others, not risk of flight. Well, we're relying on that too. All right, well, tell me about the obstruction. Well, Your Honor, he's continuing to violate the rules. Wait, how's he violating the rules? Is running a PR campaign obstruction? This is the point that we made earlier this week. He can have his family post as many Facebook posts as they want to. That's his free speech, not tainting the jury pool or whatever. Give me a break. Is running a PR campaign obstruction? Well, that's not what we have here, though, Your Honor. This is a concerted effort to impact the integrity of these proceedings. Oh, gag me. The integrity of these proceedings, this is Trump garbage, anti-Trump DOJ garbage language. They're going to turn us into a full-blown freaking Diddy defense team. All right, prosecutor, he says, I want to reach the jurors. I only need one. So he's specifically targeting jurors. He's not permitted to, the judge says, well, he's not permitted to engage in any conduct to impact the jury pool? Like he can't do anything that might impact them? Are you nuts? Your Honor, it's about his intent, though. It's obstructive conduct. He's violated the so-called gag order, and he's the one who asked for that order. He asked for you to be gagged. The court entered the order on October 25th, and he started his campaign on the 26th, and so he couldn't even comply for 2 days. Judge says, well, what about the Abercrombie case, where the government agreed to release that person on $10 million? Like, all these other people got out. Why can't you let him out? Well, we did a letter on this, Your Honor. We sent this one to you. We wrote the whole thing. We just read through it. Now, I think the better comparison, says the prosecutor, is to the 2 prior denials of bail here. So she compared it to some other cases. Judge asks, well, what about his claim that the government spliced this video together? Well, he apologized, Your Honor. That's the point, is Diddy came out and apologized for that video, which is why you don't do those things, because they just use it against you. Why did you use the spliced video, not the original? Well, Your Honor, it was public. So we just took it from a public video. We didn't splice it to manipulate it. It was already public. We just got it from there. And says the cell phone footage was also grand jury material, Your Honor, and we didn't want the defendant, Diddy, to be able to retaliate against the grand jury witnesses. So we did add blurring of the victim's face. And it was in 2016, the defendant bribed the hotel security $100,000 to make it all go away. And they did. Well, does it matter if he threw a vase or the contents of the vase, says the prosecutor? He admitted to it and apologized for it. So we know that he throws vases. Okay. This took place in the middle of a freak-off. The U.S. has evidence of a male commercial worker in the hotel room at that time. All right. Again, so this is old. Like, nobody charged him with assault or abuse or, any, domestic violence. I think that was like a girlfriend or somebody who was not really a girlfriend. They had a really complex relationship, according to Diddy. They were together, not together. Now, this is devastating evidence for the trial, Your Honor. It shows why he cannot be released on bail. He's violent, committed to covering up his crimes. They release people on bail all the time for assault. The evidence against him continues to mount. We've learned of punching and kicking employees and partners and all the things. Yeah. Okay. It's okay. Let's go to the defense. All right, Mr. Agnifilo, defense team, what do you say? Your Honor, I'm going to have Miss Shapiro lead us off. All right, Miss Shapiro. Alexandra's in the house, and we like, right? Always good to bring on a female attorney to handle these types of claims. You'll hear that. A lot of defense trainings will teach you that. In other words, you don't want a male attorney to come in and beat up a female victim who's on the stand being a victim of a crime like this. You'd rather have a female do it. It just is softer. So she stands up. Your Honor, first of all, he was not dragging her back to the freak off. Judge says, well, there was dragging though. No, I don't mean to. There was kicking too, the judge says. I saw the kicking. There was dragging, there was kicking. Your Honor, he's apologized for that. Well, what about the 2018 text messages, right? She's probably saying he apologized for that. That was 2016. That was an isolated incident that cannot be considered to be part of this ongoing RICO conspiracy to create these fake charges to keep him in custody. That was one incident. He says, well, what about the 2018 text messages? He was texting victim 1 about violence. So if that was in 16, this was ongoing. Your Honor, yeah, we have gathered more information about victim 1 even yesterday. Now, I don't want to quote it because it's under seal, and it should be, but this was consensual. Now, the judge says, I don't want to quote from them, but you know the ones I mean. Agnifilo jumps in. Yeah, Your Honor, we're proposing an independent security firm. You know the ones. There have been mutually regrettable physical conduct going both ways. There was violence by this other person and by Mr. Combs allegedly. Okay, these people were just in a freaky relationship. And that's a common thing. All right, it's a common thing. Some people just beat each other. And I'm not saying it's good, but it's just like how they are. I don't know why. There was violence by this other person and by Mr. Combs allegedly. And Combs' lawyer, Shapiro, jumps in and says, Your Honor, in the LaFontaine case from 2000, the defendant told someone to lie by phone from the MCC. So if they're saying we're obstructing from jail, in the Gotti case from 1996, the head of the Gambino crime family, the witness got a kick in the A. And the government doesn't have any of that there, okay? So you let those guys go, and they were making much worse phone calls from jail than Diddy is. And we also cited the Trump case. Defendants have greater rights to speak than their lawyers. On Instagram post as well, I don't know if I can. Well, what about his communications from jail, the judge says? He says the prosecution is motivated by racism, says Diddy. Of course. Yeah, because everything is, yeah. Combs' lawyer, Shapiro, says, this is covered by the First Amendment. He's allowed to speak freely. He can call everybody in this world a racist if he wants to. It's his right. He can say every single prosecutor is a racist for prosecuting an innocent black man. He should say that from the rooftop. They'll hate that. Call every single DOJ prosecutor who fancies themselves mega, ultra, 93% lefty Kamala Harris supporters. Call every one of them racist to their face. Messages they point to are not instructions to lie. There is a barrage of negative media coverage. He has a right to respond to that. Well, why can't he respond through counsel? Well, we're happy to do that if you want us to, but we're lawyers. That's not what we do. He's Diddy. He's a media superstar. Some of these recordings show that he's telling people the truth. He said, okay, talk with my lawyer. What about victim 3? You're saying the communications are fine? Yeah, same with victim 3. Same on witnesses 1 and 2. All good. And same with witnesses 1 and 2. So there's a third victim alleged maybe in the indictment. I can't recall if that's in the indictment. I don't think. There's a bunch of stuff that's been filed under seal that we're not seeing. So we're trying to, what are they seeing that we're not seeing yet? What about the communications that are missing? Defense says, well, Your Honor, witness 1 reached out to Mr. Combs' lawyer and asked us for a lawyer. She wanted to lawyer up. We didn't do anything along those lines because it was an odd request. And so I don't know the answer. How do you know now? How did you not know? Says the judge. Well, there was a message from Combs to witness 1. I'd like to give it to you under seal. Foster may know, the prosecutor. It does not give rise to any level of obstruction. I don't have the actual message, but they might. Says, Your Honor, by the way, my client Diddy obeys me. For example, on victim 3, he stopped using ASAP and other phone lines. The messages with witness 1, those were all pre-arrest. He obeys us. We just tell him what to do. He does it. He came to New York. In the prison, when I tell him not to do something, he doesn't do anything. And another attorney says, and by the way, Your Honor, I think that the charges in the Jeffries and Abercrombie case are way worse than anything we have here. They allege that they were in an international trafficking business. They were AR'd and they were forced to engage in all sorts of bad stuff. That's not what happened here. These were adult models who were engaging in this stuff consensually, is the defense. Whether you believe that or not is another thing. Now, while in Jeffrey's case, one defendant is 80 and the other 71, Combs is 55, he says, and I hate to say it, 55 isn't that young. Yeah, but the government says, defense, that he's not going to follow his release conditions if we let him out. Your Honor, this is crazy. The conditions that we're proposing are more restrictive than in prison. Well, where is the home that he'd be in if we released him? Your Honor, I don't want to give the address, but it's on Star Island. There's a causeway, there is a dock, but there would be no boat at the property. All right, well, that's not going to work. We're not going to have you in Florida on the causeway so he can hop on a boat and go to one of those islands down there. Says that's not going to work, okay? He's not going to Florida. You're not leaving my jurisdiction. If I'm going to let him out, where is he going to go in New York? They're in New York right now. Where in New York is he going to be staying? All right, give me a moment. Holy crap. Let me check. Yo, Diddy, where do you have a house here? He says, Your Honor, there's an apartment on the Upper East Side. He's like, I can't believe he's even asking this. He's asking us for, he's entertaining us. Do you have a building here? Anyone have a building? We have one available. There's 3 bedrooms. We have them there. Okay, well, where are the 24/7 security going to be? It's like, holy crap, he's asking details. Would you like to speak to him or to me? Your Honor, it's Patriot Security. They merge with Crisis 24. I'll get him on the phone right now. There'd be 2 security guards in the apartment. Like, if I'm a defense attorney and this is happening to me, I'm like giddy. I'm like, holy crap, he's going to do this. And 1 is downstairs. So a total of 3. No access to phones, no internet, 4, no calls with counsel arranged by security personnel. This is more restrictive than at that jails, okay? He can't even talk on the phone or the internet. He gets that in jail. Mr. Combs would avoid all contact with anyone who may be a witness. And I think he has a right to do that, but I want to make it easy for the court as possible. I think he can talk to them, but he's not going to. We're going to do the investigation thoroughly before the May 5th trial, and he has a right to assist, but we'll take the lead, Your Honor. Judge says, well, the government is saying Mr. Combs would be paying these people, and so it comes down to trust. Is that right? No, Your Honor, no. It's a different relationship, okay? These are professionals that are only going to be in his life for 8 months. It's a high-profile case. This is their entire reputation on the line, and they're not going to jeopardize their professional reputation for him. Your Honor, he's been in jail 66 days without a laptop. He's only got one a few hours ago. What is unique here is that we have to wait 9 weeks to get a laptop, okay? They're making it harder on him. He says, well, your solution for you come to me. You call me if they're not getting you a laptop. I'll make sure they get you a laptop. We can call these hearings and get things done. Next time that happens, you do that. Yes, Your Honor, yes, but Your Honor, I have a whole presentation ready about the tape as well, but if you've got enough, I can save everybody these 15 minutes. The judge says, all right, I've reviewed it already. Who is here from pretrial services? Pretrial, and pretrial is the sort of the courts or the state's like independent analysis. What do you guys think? The prosecutors are going to come in. We can't let him out no matter what. Defense team comes out, says, you can let him out no matter what. He's going to come back. What does the pretrial services in the middle say? Your Honor, we maintain that the conditions are insufficient to secure assurances that he'll return to court. In other words, don't let him out. Judge asks one final question. Have there been other cases with private guards that have existed here? Actually, we got a lot more to go. Have you guys had any other private guard cases, pretrial services? Well, not that I'm aware. I don't think so. Inner City Press continues reporting from New York. Prosecutor comes back, says, Your Honor, look, think about witness 1, all right? She was a participant, or maybe he, in multiple freak-offs. Diddy continued to contact witness 1 after counsel was retained. The Instagram post was planned for a week using Contact Me ASAP and other inmates' codes, and Diddy's family member said, the lawyers say don't do it. And he responds, I don't care, it's my birthday, I'm going to post it anyways. So he's not listening to his attorneys, Your Honor, so we can't trust him. The judge says, well, Ms. Shapiro said that sharing codes is common, like they do this all the time, and that the conduct was covered by the First Amendment. He's free to post stuff on Instagram about his case. Yeah, but Your Honor, the prison handbook prohibits this. He's used at least 8 inmates' codes. He's bought them. Well, the judge says, they say the Contact Me ASAP operates through TrueLinks, which is the trust fund limited inmate computer system. Yeah, but Your Honor, it's not permitted, okay? And in the Jeffries case, one is detained. He says, yeah, but that's a foreign national, the judge says. Well, this is more similar to the cases where detention was ordered. Like we kept R. Kelly in jail. We kept Keith Raniere in jail. We kept Larry Ray in jail. So keep Diddy in jail. The judge says, all right, listen, I'm getting close to hearing enough. I suggest that both parties put in letters by Monday at noon about what types of communications Mr. Combs may engage in. Monday at noon. I see people from the second row back there standing up. Defense says, Your Honor, we had to email for a week to get him a file folder. Okay, just to let you know, a week to get him a file folder. We need to let him out, okay? His adult children are here. They're willing to obey. He's not a lawless person. We spend hours at the jail, and the lawyers want him out too, man, because like they going to the jails sucks. Mr. Combs was writing down what I said. He's not out of control, okay? The DOJ is responsible from the MDC. Those calls from me all the time, and I hang up. Yeah, now he has access to the phones in the jail, but not under our conditions. He fights, he kicks, he makes phone calls. Your Honor, this can all be addressed, thank you. And so thank you for hearing us, Your Honor. For all those reasons, we ask that you release our client. He says, all right, we're going to get a decision out promptly starting next week. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Get your letters into me by Monday, all right? Any questions? No? We're adjourned. Have a nice weekend. See you here next week. All rise. All right, please be seated. Court is adjourned. Thank you to Inner City Press for reporting this. Make sure you're giving him a follow, checking out his PayPal, checking out his Amazon, checking out his Substack, because without him being in the courtroom, we would not have these X scripts. He's on X at Inner City Press. And if you're watching us live right now, we are going to repost this puppy right at the top of our timeline so you can follow along at home. Inner City Press reporting, Diddy is what sounds like on the verge of getting released. That judge was entertaining it. Where is he going to be? Who's going to be in charge? Where are they going to be staying? What can Diddy say? What can he not say? The defense team is giddy tonight. And we're going to be here to continue to cover this case and more. Thanks for subscribing and joining us as we do. All right, my friends, it's been a beautiful Friday stream. And it's going to be interesting to see what the judge does and says. Shane says he deserves bail. I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think that their case is extremely weak right now. Yeah, we're defending Diddy. Can you believe it? Against corrupt SDNY prosecutors. It's crazy. I know. It's crazy times. What a wild world this is. I don't condone it. I don't condone Diddy's alleged behavior, but the prosecutor's case is pretty much crap at this point in time. And we'll see if Diddy gets out. Going to be curious. All right, if you're just joining us, we've got Pam Bondi updates. We went through, we know that Trump just appointed her and that there's reaction to that. Matt Gaetz is not returning back to Congress. Another big headline on the day. We also saw Trump will not be appointing Mike Rogers to the FBI, which is great news. Says it is never happening. I have never even given it a thought. Not happening. From Dan Scavino Jr. So great news there. James Trusty, Trump's defense attorney, is happy with the Pam Bondi nomination. And we also saw that Judge Juan the Con Mercan has now officially vacated and adjourned the sentencing date. Oh, Judge, what a painful day for you. You were so close to sentencing him, and now we know it's not going to happen. So we also talked about Ashley Babbitt. I'll say in one of the more infuriating documents that we've read here in recent memory, but we saw that according to U.S. Capitol Police policies, the more MAGA people you eliminate from the planet, the better you're treated. You get more money, you get higher security, you get time off. They put you up in nice, fancy hotels. You get to go to cigar bars late at night with private security. Things are pretty good if you're a Democrat who eliminates MAGA. Captain Byrd, almost called him lieutenant, now captain. Michael Byrd, the man who shot and eliminated Ashley B., got a promotion. And of course, we saw the latest updates in the Diddy case, which is getting pretty interesting. And we'll see where the judge lands on the bail motion. But now, my friends, it's time to hear from you. And let's see what you have to say about this. I saw some great donos. Thank you for being amazing, for supporting our work here. Thanks for becoming members. Members, if you just joined up, check out the members only live stream from this morning. We had a great stream with our members today, and it was a lot of fun. We also will be coming back tomorrow on Saturday for our Saturday members only stream taking place tomorrow. All right. And so we got some great comments. I see some questions. Why is Rob defending Diddy? And we're actually not, we're defending against the prosecution. We're defending against a weak case. Diddy deserves the presumption of innocence just like anybody. And it sounds like Diddy did a bunch of bad stuff, but they got to prove it in court. And what we saw in the indictment is pretty dang weak. It's been a lot of innuendo and conversation. And I suspect there's a lot more to come. But as it stands right now, something else is afoot. They do not want Diddy out of custody, and they're cobbling together charges in a manipulative way to make their case. So we hold the DOJ accountable. They have to follow due process, the presumption of innocence. I don't care if it's Diddy or Ghislaine Maxwell or anybody, but the DOJ is a bad and broken entity. We have some consistency here when they come down against President Trump and their corrupt hacks. We have to remember, it's those same corrupt hacks that are prosecuting a lot of other cases. Now, not everybody in the DOJ is a corrupt hack, and there are people who are prosecuting legitimate cases and doing good work there, prosecuting the actual criminals. But you got to be very suspicious of prosecutors bringing cases, especially in the Southern District of New York, because we saw what they did to the Ghislaine Maxwell case and the Jeffrey Epstein case. We saw how they tried to finagle the Hunter Biden case. Hunter Biden was a chronic abuser of women, and they protected him and got him off scot-free with a gun charge and a tax crime charge. None of the actual criminality was investigated or prosecuted. And the Southern District of New York also worked very hard to cover up for Weinstein and for Diddy and many of these people for a long time. So we don't believe that they're pursuing justice with Diddy. And so we look at what their prosecutions with a critical eye, and we're not going to allow any governmental person to dump all over the presumption of innocence or due process or the right to confront your accuser. We do not want the weaponization of law that manipulates RICO charges to come up with crimes against somebody. And Diddy might deserve everything and every allegation, and it might be coming down the pike, and we might come back here a month from now and see a superseding indictment with 25 additional victims and all the things. But as it stands right now, this case is not matching what is being reported in the media. It's a RICO case with a small number of victims who all have credibility problems, apparently, according to Diddy's defense. So that's what the basis is. Just wanted to clarify that because I saw several comments like, what? I don't endorse his conduct. And the idea of multiple people having freak-offs with each other makes me want to puke my guts out. But it's not a crime to be a freak off in America. You can freak off all you want, as long as it's, with consenting adults and it's legal. That's the question. We want to know, what was illegal about it? All right, Christina, what's up? Says, we made it. It's Friday. Great to see you, Christina. It's a Friday. Sure is. Thank you, Christina. It's great to see you. Thanks for being a member over on the YouTubes. Let's see who else is here and joining us. Yeah, and the Diddy case feels very much like an Epstein case in just a different domain. Okay, the Epstein case, he was a honeypot for big tech, big money, and the politicos. Diddy is the honeypot for the arts, for culture, for music, entertainment, Hollywood, and those domains. And so we know there's more going on there. And that's what we're looking for. The truth is what we're in search of. Hey, Cicada Urantia Jedediah. What's up? That's a heck of a name. Says, good job, Robert. 3 POB, brother. Good job, good job, good job. Cicada Urantia Jedediah in the house. What a nice dono. Thank you for the nice comment, Cicada. And we're happy to have you here. Even Shane saying, cheers, my man. Hey, Ravicus says, here's an article on Senator Kevin Cramer on the Ashley B elimination. Yeah, from the week. Looks like a good article. Thank you, Ravicus, for flagging it for us. Here's one from, here's the headline. It says, GOP Senator unflinchingly defends officer who eliminated Ashley in tense exchange with radio caller. Yeah. Does he know about his disciplinary record or how bad he was? Hey, Quillen Mom says the nomination of former AG Pam Bondi for the position of AG is a big mistake, not for the corrupt background of Bondi that we presume that Trump is not aware of. The conservative treehouse has a post from yesterday and says that she is a deep swamp smile. That looks like a spicy comment too, Quillen Mom. Yeah, we're going to learn a lot more about Pam Bondi. I don't know much about her because she was a Florida person. So we'll see. We're going to learn a lot more about her. Crash is here. Says, Rob, it's not surprising. Notwithstanding Mark Cuban, that President-elect Trump would appoint Pam Bondi. She's well qualified, a strong woman, and a looker to boot. Crash. Everything the left hates. Strong, qualified woman, and a babe. What's up, Sheila the Pooh? Bringing in new membos. Thank you, Sheila. Hey, what's going on? Sheila Pooh, bringing in the range. P power slots. We got Dead Already, Miss Vicky May, Kathleen Hanover. What's up, Kathleen? Lynn F, Pesky Citizen, Jeremy Hayboer, Cat FS, and Boiler Operator in the house. What's up, Sheila? Thanks for bringing in 10 amazing new membos in the house. NY says, so Bondi makes much more sense. Why the heck did they do this? Why couldn't he hold the seat at least for the speaker vote? Doesn't smell well. Yeah, you're right about that, NY. You're right about that. It's weird. It's weird to go full steam ahead and then you drop everything. Like within 12 hours. He was at the Senate the day before. News reports were great. Next morning, wakes up, he's drawing out. Knox is here. Says, happy Friday, all. I found this one interesting. Representative Matt Gaetz grew up in the Truman Show house, and that explains so much. That's an interesting one. I remember that show. Hey, what's up? Cicada says the guy in the red dress. The guy in the red dress. Is that a Matrix reference? Like the woman in the red dress? Who? The woman in the red dress. And then it's an agent. Cat Zap. So just how does Clinton know what Trump believes? Clinton is the exact moral opposite of Billy Sidewinder Clinton. Cat says, I'm so sick of Democrats. Gosh, Cat, me too. Tell me about it. Will they ever learn? No, they won't. They'll just get up there and lecture everybody. Thank you, Cat. Very nice dono. Good to have you here. Hey, NY says, you know, Kevin McCarthy did the same thing after he lost speakership. He could have kept his seat, but quickly resigned. MAGA needs to speak out on this. Gaetz did a lot, but his constituents donated to him. The Dems will pour millions into his district now. Yeah, I kind of feel that. It's like, didn't you just like promise everybody you're going to give him 2 more years and now you're just leaving? Glocky says, Clinton complaining about yes men is funny. Considering under him and his AG, we got FBI snipers eliminating a mom after her baby was eliminated, after feds eliminated a bunch of people and then eliminated people at Ruby Ridge and Waco. Yeah, man, there was a lot of carnage. Remember Waco? That was such a fascinating story. And horrific story. Glocky, thank you. Crash says Trump should appoint Gaetz to be a special envoy. Special assistant to the president in charge of the swamp. Pull the chain on the plug, Matt. Well, I think others were arguing that he should be the special counsel who's appointed to prosecute Jack Smith. That'd be fun. Hey, Richard Coffey, 10 months as a membo, says, I can tell Shifty Schiff is lying. Do you know how? His mouth is moving. Thank you, Richard Coffey. Thanks for being here for 10 months. That's a baby plus one. Hey, this old guy. Anything that is painful for Judge Mercan is okay by me. You know, metaphorically speaking, like writing that sentence was, in his opinion. It was painful for him. Glocky says, I promise you that they used this to spy the Trump campaign. They did the Russia hoax 2.0. I'd be real curious to what electronic surveillance they use, and I want to see the applications to the FISA courts. Says Trump's intel pick, Tulsi, was briefly placed on government watch list for years. For years. Knox says, how did this officer Byrd even still have a job after his leaving his service weapon in the crapper? Yeah, I don't know, Knox. Government, Capitol Police, D.C., work. 33 days suspension. That's a big one. But they let him back. Man, it's hard to do something wrong when you're in that position. Sheila Pooh says, Byrd needs to be prosecuted, okay, not promoted. He improperly fired on Ashley, resulting in her elimination. And then he lied about it. Said he gave her commands and stuff. No, he didn't. Former says, I don't believe that the issue is that he was a cop, but that he was former. We got Glocky says, Elon is going to buy MSNBC, and Joe Rogan, in a different reply to this post, asked him if he could have Rachel Maddow's time slot. It is going to be a wild next couple of months. That would be wild if Elon bought MSNBC. Elon's commenting on this. He did. How much does it cost? That's how he bought X. Someone says, if you like Twitter so much, you should buy it. He says, how much does it cost? Rick D says, Elon should so buy it. MXNBC. That'd be great. Hey, Joe Rogan announced, says Roz Alert, that he would be interested in taking over Rachel Maddow's role if Elon buys MSNBC. I have a hard time believing that, but that's funny. Hey, it's Bruce Rice Baby. Dun. What's up, Bruce? Bringing in Friggle D. Cicada is here. Super Goober, welcome. Blankless is here. Garrett Westbury, Linda D, Watts Minor, CNC Hobbyist, Joyous Joy, and Igor Voiko. Gifted membos courtesy of Bruce Rice Baby. Dun. Roy MC. So he aimed center mass to kill her, yet it was her fault for moving that the shot hit as aimed. Yeah, and he warned her, which he didn't warn her at all. So, yeah. And Lester Holt didn't ask any follow-ups because who cares? Woodchip Bill says, that Byrd report was excellent. Bring light to the corruption of this matter. Byrd should be in jail for life. I'm with you on that, Woodchip. I know it was a hard read. That was a hard one to listen to. But it is important. I'm glad you see it that way, Woodchip. More here. What's up, more here? Bringing in 5 more here. Dale Bailey, Purple Lady Wenyo, Pink Wings, Tina P, and Scott, gifted membos, courtesy of more here. Hey, Bruce Rice is bringing in more membos. 10 more, Bruce? Dun. Floppy, what's up? Mic drop. We got Kim O, Joel D4, Judge Dreads is here, Melissa Charba, Milk Tobo, MM Lula, and RL South, gifted membos, courtesy of Bruce Rice Baby. And Sheila Pooh, what's up, Sheila? 5 more coming in from Sheila. Thank you, Sheila. Look who's here. T-Rex Trucking and More. We love our truckers here. Al McKay. We got Amber Talon, Jade Mouse 7, and Matt in the house, courtesy of Sheila Pooh. A million hugs to you. Thank you, Sheila, for bringing in 5 new friends. We've got this one from Uncle Bozy says, I'm a 35-year retired LEO lieutenant. I can tell you for a fact that any police officer in my department that acted as Lieutenant Byrd did would be fired and probably prosecuted. If the officers protecting the federal courthouses, police stations, or any other facility during the summer of 2020 Antifa BLM riots had opened fire on those rioters, they would have been justified using the Byrd standard. In fact, the threat of imminent death or bodily harm was greater during those actual riots. Yeah, and they produced a lot more actual deaths than they alleged occurred in January 6th. Rioters were killed. Ashley was shot. Roseanne was beaten. 2 other gentlemen died of heart problems. And then they said that Brian Sicknick was murdered by the rioters. No, that never happened. He died of natural causes the next day. So they reverse it and flip it the other way. Uncle Bozy says, hey, thank you, Uncle Bozy, for that. Thank you for, I didn't know you were retired LEO. But we have maybe a higher group of retired LEO here. It's great. Sergeant Bob is in the house, former LEO. We got Uncle Bozy now. If the officers protecting the federal courthouses did this, there would be problems. Says Bird's preferential treatment after killing an unarmed woman is infuriating to me. Yeah, you're not alone on that, Uncle. Hey, Wookie Elnil, 16 months as a membo, says the first 2 minutes of the video link proves intentionality. And I don't know which one you're talking about there specifically, Wookie. But that sounds about right. Knox is here. Elon Musk sets his sights on struggling MSNBC. That would be hilarious. It'd be hilarious if he bought MSNBC. I'd watch it. Yeah, I'd watch it. Maybe he needs someone to fill in some content. Maybe we'll have an MSNBC show. Could you imagine? That'd be great. Yeah, I'd invite Jen Psaki on as a guest. Hey, Jen, you miss being here? Uncle Bozy says there was also the female cop who literally beat a woman to death outside the Capitol. Yeah, that was Roseanne Boylan. I watched the video. It was brutal. That DC cop was also awarded and lauded as a hero. Yeah, you got to take out MAGA. It's like a gang initiation. They'll promote you. Isn't that fun? Thank you, Uncle Bozy. NY says prosecutors always use as reasons why someone needs pretrial detention is they did it to other people. But if a trial is going to be very long and complicated, why can't a defendant be on house arrest with today's technology? That's exactly what Diddy's team was arguing. Let him out. Glocky says, and there it is. She wants the same corrupt FBI who went after Trump to vet his nominees. Says Lisa Murkowski announces that she will not approve any of Trump's nominees unless they're properly vetted by the FBI. She's one of the worst. Rocky says, cheers to Matthew Russell Lee, a.k.a. Inner City Press, his passion for shining spotlights, and his passion for strange songwriting, courtesy of Rocky Water. Thank you, Rocky. Matthew Russell Lee is amazing. We love him. Hey, have a great day. Libby T, what's up? Bringing in 5 membos. Thank you, Libby, for doing this. Happy Friday to you. Bringing in Shake and Bake is here. Vegas Woman, 702. Far Isle, Seaman 3, and Charles Co. in the house. Good to have you guys aboard. Thank you, Libby T, for bringing in our new friends. Uncle Bozy shared this one. It's when Kramer says Pam. Pam. Pam.
What does that mean?
Pam.
And that voice.
Pam.
What about her name? Pam? Oh, it's a beautiful name. Pam. Pam. Pam.
She's going to be a great AG, okay? Her name is Pam. It's going to be great. All right, thank you for that one. And let's see what else we've got in the house. Uncle Bozy. Hey, Recato Law for President says, thoughts on the Mercan ruling regarding Trump Jr.'s tweet. Sorry if you discussed this. I'm getting late in. It's actually going to get dismissed. Yeah, Recato Law for President says, asking, yeah, I think so. I think it is going to, I think it's going to go away. I don't think they're going to let that case linger on for 4 years. I think he'll dismiss it. I think he's got no other choice. But the sentencing got vacated, and that was their big one. Like, they really try, like, any day now, the walls are closing in. Trump's going to be sentenced finally. Wrong. Boopsy says, the question is, why did they treat Bird so sweetly? Maybe because he's dangerously psychotic and they need to protect themselves from his violence, or maybe he threatened to expose their guilt of J6, and if they didn't give him everything he wants, to protect him. Yeah. You just buy them off. They have, once you pay him off, where's he going to go? What's he going to do? So he's now bought and paid for. He's their person. Isn't that interesting how that works? Thank you, Boopsy, for that one. My friends, let's say hello to our friends on X. Then we'll wrap it up on the day. We're going to go over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com and debrief for a bit before we come back tomorrow for our members only Saturday stream. If you're not a membo, we'd love to see you become a membo and join us. Couple short comments on X. Fred says, oh, Judicial Watch. Yeah, they're suing. Judicial Watch is paying for the Ashley Babbitt $30 million wrongful death suit against the government. Did we read that? I feel like we did read that. Why does Edge I don't want to use your search as default, so don't ask me to change it again. Don't ask again. Danny McWilliams says, Gaetz is a troublemaker. Do you think that Trump planned this to get rid of Gaetz? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. I think he would have been happy with Gaetz as AG. Flash River, what's up, Flash? Says, as for Capitol Police Officer Byrd, note, police officers don't shoot people because they don't see a person's hands. They shoot when there is visible signs of an imminent threat in their hands. Duh. Yeah, and he was also making up some other nonsense. Cohen Levine. Can Byrd be charged for the elimination of Ashley Babbitt when the new AG takes over? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, a new DOJ can do a new assessment. Yeah, there's probable cause there. Probably not expired. 2021, plenty of time. Yeah, he could still be charged. Why not? Maybe he will. All right, my friends, thank you for those lovely comments on X and for the great donos, for being amazing parts of our community and parts of the show. Very nice to have you here. And I hope your week was outstanding. We are going to leave it there. We're going to head on over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com for our members only after party. Hey, Goose Toots just became a supporter. Welcome aboard, Goose Toots. Very nice to have you. And my friends, it's been an amazing week. So thank you so much for being here. We had a lot of business that we attended to, and it's always such an honor to be able to do that together with you. We will unplug for the rest of the day. Of course, we got tomorrow for Membos, and then we'll unplug over the weekend so that we can recharge our energy tanks, rejuvenate our spirit, reverberate our souls. Where the heck, what did they do here? I'm trying to figure out where all my buttons went. And now I found it. All right. Rejuvenate our soul. Rest, recover, and unplug from politics so that our brain can come back fresh on Monday to get into it again. I hope that your weekend is outstanding. You do something fun. You get outside. You get some fresh air, some vitamin D, some sunlight, some sunshine, some friends, some family, some frivolity. You eat something delicious and get an extra scoop of ice cream because we're coming back on Monday to get into it again. And in order to do that, we're going to need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful weekend, my friends. I'll see you right back here on Monday. Bye-bye.